What makes you feel confident in your skin?
Having great biomarkers.
You've probably heard a lot of these. A biohacker's love story. The 33-year-old asked her date for health labs before meeting. Can you talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, I wanted to see what his labs looked like. So sent him over a ton. We looked at gut tests, toxin testing, 200 longevity biomarkers, genetics. I mean, the whole scope. You can tell a lot about a person from their labs, and you can know what's going on. Epigenetics is our influence on our genes. We have the ability to make such a massive influence. I look at a lot of different metrics of biological age. It's not really just one anymore. When women enter menopause, the risk of all-cause mortality increases. Everything, cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's, or neurodegenerative diseases, everything. So if we can push out ovarian longevity, this is one of the things I'm most excited about.
Do you have cheat days?
I have zero desire to have a cheat meal because I literally think of it as poison.
You've said you want to live to 150.
Yes.
How would you feel if you passed away at 70 or 80?
Feeling confident in your skin is so much more than what you see in the mirror.
And how can you feel good? Well, that starts from within.
Welcome to the In Your Skin podcast. I'm Christy.
And I'm Anna. Join us each week as we sit down with world-leading experts and thought leaders to delve into the latest insights, groundbreaking research, and cutting-edge advancements in wellness, longevity, and beauty. Kayla, it is so nice to have you in our studio on the Gold Coast. We've actually been trying to pin you down for a while. Yes. We've been emailing back and forth, but to have you here, and this is the first time you've been to Australia, I just heard. So thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for your patience. I've been traveling like crazy lately, which is a little bit out of character for me, but yeah, I've been all over the place. So.
Yeah, well, it's worth the wait. So very excited to have you here. Now, you are known for female longevity, biohacking, but also helping women expand their lifespan through data and routines, not through theory, which is what I love. We're going to touch on that a little bit. However, I want to start with some headlines that I was reading about. And you actually talk a little bit about this in the talks that you give. So I've got a few here. I'm going to read them out. And to be honest, there were a few that I was like, whoa, this is intense. This is like, and I think some people would even be like whether or not they'd roll their eyes or just go, whoa, this is too much.
Yeah.
But then when you actually listen to you speak and you explain these, I was like, oh, I want to do all these. Like I kind of wanted to, I don't think I have the time, but I actually was like, I want to do all this. So I'm going to start reading these. So this is the first one. And you've probably heard a lot of these.
Yes.
A biohacker's love story. The 33-year-old asked her date for health labs before meeting. Now they're married. So it obviously worked out. But can you talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, I started a longevity medicine clinic. I mean, we started to prepare for it in 2018. We officially opened in 2020. So it was pretty early, right? I've been in this industry for over 12 years at this point. So really have been doing it for a while. And when I met my husband, which was really just, honestly, it was from God, right? Like I just had been building my businesses, building this clinic. 3 months prior to meeting my husband, I had hired a manager that I was really excited about and felt like, okay, now I can really be on the look for a husband, right? I had been praying for a great husband, but now it was time. And we connected on Raya, which is a dating app, but I only went on one date, which was wild.
I think Christy's on it now.
Yeah,
so
she's just joined, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully she'll find something.
I don't know that it's known for like marriages, really. I think it's more of like known as like a ghosting kind of app.
Oh,
to
really?
be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't rate it.
Yeah, it's an interesting app, but for us, it just ended up working out perfectly. Like he was so intentional. We were both intentional, but one of the most important things outside of, our morals and our faith is like, okay, how healthy are you, right? It just simply would never work with myself and a man who wanted to like come home and drink beer and eat chips on the couch. Like that would be insane, right? Like chips aren't even in our house. Beer is not in our house. My husband has one bad snack section and it's only organic popcorn. Like that's the worst bad snack that there is. And this beverage called Olipop, which again is like the healthy version, So I wanted to see what his labs looked like. So sent him over a ton, like 7. So we looked at gut tests, toxin testing, like 200 longevity biomarkers, we even looked at genetics. I mean, the whole scope. And he actually had a lot of this stuff already. So he had like a full executive physical that he sent over. I shared my labs. We talked about biological ages. We talked about all sorts of things. And then we had our first date in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. So we had a multi-person HBOT chamber at my clinic. And so he flew in. He was living in LA. I was living in Ohio. He flew in, we took a long walk, did an HBOT session. I put him in an ozone sauna, which if anyone's done an ozone sauna, it's intense. Yeah. So we were like testing his, abilities there a little bit. But yeah, it was our story, And
what did he say though? What did he say when you asked him? Was he like,
was he already into this?
He was all in. Like it was actually someone healthy was really high on his priorities list. So I'd scoped out his Instagram. Like it was really clear. Like he was already shopping at Air One, living in LA. I'm like, okay, he's an Air One member. That's great. You could tell by his posts that he was into health. And everybody asked me like, is this a sterile thing? Like, would you not have married him if his labs weren't good? And that's not the case. My love language, this is my love language, is helping people improve their health. So yes, it gave me a lot of data. It would have definitely pointed out if he was lying, which that's not his character in any way. But let's say he said, I'm super healthy, but then his labs came back. You can tell a lot about a person from their labs. Yeah. You can look at their lipids, you can look at their gut, you can look at their exposures, and you can know what's going on. I didn't anticipate that he was not telling the truth, but it would be a good way. If you want to fact check someone, you certainly can.
Definitely.
But even if the labs didn't come back, good. I mean, he had all the other qualities that I really wanted and was looking for. So I would have just helped him improve them, which I did.
What did you have to help improve?
Yeah. So when we met, he was actually on a small dose of testosterone. So just simply because it's very popular, right? He was living in LA. He had like a concierge medical doctor, tiny dose, but obviously we want to have kids. So I asked him to get off of that, and I helped him take his testosterone. So after he got off the T, when we met, his testosterone was in the 700s. It obviously dipped a little bit after getting off the T, but then I helped him get it to 916 naturally. So
how did you do that? Because I know a few people who are on testosterone.
Yeah.
I know that they'd be wanting to find out how they could do it naturally.
Yeah.
So how could you?
Yeah. And I have nothing, by the way, against testosterone. I think it's great, just like hormone replacement therapy for females, but let's just try to push it out as far as we can, right? Same thing with menopause. How can we push that date out as far as we can? Before we need to get on hormones. So what we did was very comprehensive, right? So health is not like one tool or one supplement that's going to help you get there. It was gut health optimization. So really helped him work on his gut, helped reduce some of his toxins. So I got the total toxic burden back, looked at some of the exposures, put him through a detox protocol. That really helped. Like the body wants to have high testosterone naturally if you are in good shape. I mean, sedentary lifestyle, not working out. I mean, working out raises testosterone immensely. He was already doing that. We incorporated a little bit more cold therapy than he was doing before, which also was great for his testosterone. But it was really optimizing the health from like the ground up. Even more than he had been. So made also dietary and lifestyle changes. And the big one, I think, was him changing his sleep schedule. So he used to be one of those kind of snackers, like in the evening and then go to bed, maybe I think 11 or 12. But we go to bed at 8 o'clock and we do it like clockwork. So every single night we're super consistent. And all of those factors together really just help to optimize every system, including hormones in the body.
Now, one of the other headlines is that as a couple, you're spending more than 6 figures a year on biohacking and optimizing for longevity.
Yeah.
Is that true?
That is true. Yes. Yeah. I mean, it fluctuates, depending on the year, right? But the labs can be very expensive, and it's not that everybody needs to do this amount of labs, right? I mean, I do thousands and thousands of biomarkers every single quarter. We own very expensive medical grade equipment in our home. So it's not necessary. But what I'm trying to do for women is say, let's do an incredible deep dive, because women have not been included in this conversation. We all know that. So we weren't required to be included in medical research until 1993. Still, 2/3 of all studies are on men. I, learned something astounding the other day from one of my friends who's a PhD researcher on my podcast, that when female mice are included in these research studies, many times their ovaries are removed. So then they're functioning like men. So we have to carve our own path here. We have to figure out, what does the data say? What does our own bio individual data say? And then what are the top longevity risks for women, right? So I have spent all these resources on the labs, wading through, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of labs that I don't do also, right? So it's like, what is the biggest bang for your buck? So I can just share that freely. So I've narrowed it down to probably about 10 different biomarker sets, whether that be toxins or just general biochemistry. And then I'm doing these interventions, like plasmapheresis for example, very popular, but what does it actually do for us? So I did a total toxic burden test. I then incorporated the intervention, plasmapheresis, and I retested. And now I can share with women, hey, it had about an 11% reduction across the board in environmental toxins, molds and mycotoxins, and heavy metals. And I also saw, for the first time during the LA fires, I had saw an increase in my TPO antibodies, which many women are dealing with Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So TPO antibodies essentially it's your body creating antibodies against your own thyroid. So it's one of the first markers and a very important marker I think that women should be looking at because 80% of autoimmune conditions are female. So as I saw this number increase for the first time ever, so normally it should be like undetectable, right? I saw mine rise to about 12 and then about 20. This is still a subclinical. So you're not at a diagnosis level, but I did plasmapheresis and it took those antibodies back down to 0. So one of the indications for TPE originally was these cytokine storms. So even during pandemic times with these cytokine storms, when individuals with autoimmune conditions were suffering from a major kind of uptick in their condition, you would often do this plasmapheresis in the hospital setting, and it would help to get them back into a more manageable state. So I thought that was another amazing finding, So
it is. And do you do these things for you or for everybody else, or is it a combination?
Yeah, it's definitely both. I mean, I try to be very clear that this is all N of one, right? So our genetics, all three of us on this couch have different genetics, so my risk is probably different than both of yours. And then our size of our cups, the way I think about health is really number one, size of your cup. Your genetics determine that for the most part, like how well do you detox?
And what percentage is allocated to genetics?
Yeah, I mean, we know that it's only about 10%. There are outliers, of course, that are genetic conditions that no matter what you do, unfortunately, you can't change that trajectory. But for most individuals, it's about 10% and it's about 90% lifestyle. So epigenetics is our influence on our genes, right? And for me, it's so powerful that we have the ability to make such a massive influence for most individuals. So
it is a lot. I think people think, oh no, they kind of pass it on as it's their genetics really. And then they don't want to kind of do the work when it shows that it's 90% that you can actually get in there and do the work.
Yeah.
Which is quite empowering because to know that it's in your hands, right?
Totally. I mean, my family, there's quite a few individuals who are a bit overweight, have type 2 diabetes. I mean, this is a reversible condition, You need to be checking things like your HbA1c, looking at your insulin, looking at your fasting glucose, and you don't have to develop type 2 diabetes. This is amazing. Like you just don't have to. So.
Yeah. Now that you've touched on your family, can you talk us a little bit about your family and your upbringing, how you got to who you are today?
Yeah. I did not grow up in a healthy household at all. And I don't blame any of that on my parents, of course, right? Like we were fed this story back then, or they were fed this story that fast food was convenience and it was a luxury not to make, home cooked meals and stuff. And my mom, she was raising 5 kids at one point. I mean, so I grew up on a very standard American diet, or the SAD diet, as we say, often leads to people being sad. But yeah, Pop-Tarts, toaster strudels, the whole 9 yards, So didn't grow up in that lifestyle, but I became an entrepreneur at about 17 years old. And I knew that if I wanted...
What?
Yeah. So my first company was actually in the marketing space. Okay. I was always drawn to health. So it was with health type companies, but I didn't know what I was doing back then. I was just doing something because what I did know is that I wanted to have a very different life in nearly every way than kind of how I grew up. And I knew that in order to work really hard and work long hours and build something amazing, I was going to have to upgrade my biology. So started studying nutrition in college, didn't end up finishing. Crazy. I look back, I only have like 3 credit hours. I don't know what the heck I was doing, but I was doing my own thing. So then I got really interested in brain health. So I studied under Dr. Daniel Amen's brain health practitioner certification. That took a few years. Then I did the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, finished that, the Institute for Integrative Health Practitioners. I'm always learning, but I did it all to really benefit myself and people that I love. And then got super deep in the weeds in about 2018 when I began to prepare to open up this longevity medicine clinic. So we did everything from, super advanced diagnostics. We had medical doctors on the team, integrative nurse practitioners, functional medicine, physician assistants, of course, nurses, MAs, the whole 9 yards. And so I really had the pleasure of not only having my own medical team to interpret all of this data, and they were all longevity focused, but I also was able to see a lot of the results from some of these more advanced treatments, right? So it's great that I could see, this is what happens when I do ozone sauna or when I do HBOT. But it was such a, pleasure and such a gift to be able to see thousands of other people also go through this and say, okay, yes, the data also supports this, but there's not randomized control trials on a lot of the stuff. There's no incentive financially to do so because it's not a pharmaceutical, but it was such a pleasure to be able to run and own and operate a business like that. So yeah, that's pretty much.
How does your family think of it? Do they follow suit?
It's always an ongoing struggle, right? So
I want to know what your Christmas dinner's like.
Oh goodness. So I gifted one of my family members trizepatide for Christmas.
What is that?
So it's a GLP-1.
Oh, okay, right. Yep.
My mom was shocked. I'll just say that. My mom.
And what does it do?
So GLP-1s, they're like the weight loss. They're the most popular peptides in the world right now. I actually gifted 2 people. My mom wanted me to gift her the GLP-1. Yeah. And then
did she take it?
She did. She was obsessed with it. My mom's all on the train to an extent. Like I've sent her a gut test. She has not taken it still. And I keep asking why. And I think she thinks that I'm going to get like a printout of her last meal or something.
And talk about it on a podcast.
Literally, yeah. And talk about it. And
got my mom's results here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love my mom so much, but she still like pushes me a little bit. She's like, we'll go out to dinner and she's like, I would really get the fries if I wasn't with you. And I'm like, but you are. Yeah. So we'll just not.
But I think it's also for me, like I've been in the wellness industry for a little while now, but I'm not extreme. My husband is much more extreme when it comes to these sorts of things. And he's been sort of talking a lot about all this different stuff. And I'm kind of like, okay, like I'll take it on to a degree. But then probably 6 months, I'm always about 6 months to a year behind him. And then I'm like, then I'll catch and I'm like, oh, okay, now I understand what you're saying. And now I agree with it. It's like, okay, sauna is this. So we've got a sauna and an ice bath at home and I didn't want it. Now we have it. I'm like, I love it.
Yeah.
So I feel like people almost have to do it in their own time. And they just need to understand about it. I think that's the biggest thing. It's about understanding how this can help you and how it can make you feel. Yeah. And when they know that they're going to feel good, why wouldn't you want to do it?
And that's the thing when it comes to motivation as well, to get into wellness or to start even learning about longevity and expanding your life and your health and things like that, it can be quite overwhelming. Yeah. You know, a lot of what you talk about is like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, what did she say? Like half the time. But it's like those little baby steps. Like for myself, my motivation to get into wellness actually stemmed from having a chronic health illness of burnout, which I know is a lot of the times for people a point where they might go, actually, I need to start paying attention. And because, it can have a detrimental impact on your life, your family, your work, if you're not looking after your health. And so what would you say to people who are just starting to get into looking after themselves? Because there's so much. Where do we start?
Yeah, well, I think it's also important to note that most individuals wait until they get a chronic diagnosis, a chronic condition diagnosed. And it doesn't have to be that way because these conditions are developing over the course of, 1 to 2 or even 10 years, right? So I think it's important and that's the message I'm trying to get out there. Not one part of the message is, hey, let's look at the female biology. What are our risk factors that we need to consider more so than men? But then also it's like, let's just take control of our biology and let's just not develop some of these things that are within our control. So I think where we want to start, although I do all of these expensive things and, biohacking can be kind of like crazy, the foundation is everything. I mean, everyone asks me, what supplements are you taking and how often do you get an NAD drip and when should I do HBOT? And it's like, take a step back because if you haven't mastered the basics, those additional therapies, definitely I think should wait. They can help expedite healing, but I mean, sleep, even 1 poor night of sleep can increase blood glucose. It can increase our hunger hormone ghrelin. So we're going to be hungrier the next day. We're not going to be able to adhere to our nutritional strategies as well. Downregulates our natural killer cells, which protect against cancer, can reduce your immune system function. I mean, our hormones as women are really tightly tied to our sleep and stress levels. So improving your sleep is literally the foundation of health. So I build my entire life around sleep. Go to bed at 8 o'clock. You certainly don't have to do that, but getting in bed before 10, I think is super beneficial for your hormones, for your deep sleep. And then if you want to, you can track your sleep. So I'll mention a couple of metrics that I like to watch. So I like to get about 2 hours of deep sleep. Again, really good for those hormones, for restoration for women. Also,
and in order to track that, you use the Oura Ring?
I use the Oura Ring. I also have a Whoop on. Okay. I have them both on right now. Oh, I also have an 8 Sleep too. Yeah. But one of the devices, whatever one fits your lifestyle the best, I think is great. Because if we don't know, it's hard to really dial in our routine. So love to get that 2 hours. And the other thing about sleep is when we're sleeping, our brain's glymphatic system is most activated. And that's basically cleaning out cellular waste and debris. So women are 2/3 of cases of Alzheimer's and dementia. So we need to be sleeping and prioritizing that. So
and that's free and easy for everyone.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think
Free,
people kind of
easy,
think, oh,
low
this
cost.
is all so hard, but it's actually just changing those little things that make a big difference.
Yeah. And you don't have to tackle this all at once, right? Like make a list. Okay, we need to work on sleep. We need to work on exercise. We need to work on nutrition, ensuring social connections are strong, and we need to work on stress reduction. Like that's the foundation. And then start to address them one by one. Doesn't have to be overnight. But if you start with your sleep, everything else is going to get better because you're going to be more energized for your workouts. You're going to have less cravings. So your dietary is going to be improved. But yeah, the next thing is exercise. If there was one pill for longevity, it'd be exercise. So, and when I think about my longevity exercise programming, it's not just strength training. I know Pilates is so, very popular in the States. Is it popular here
It's
too?
really popular.
Super popular. And I love that, but we need to be adding on muscle mass. So we need to have a diverse workout program. We need to think about our cardiovascular system, VO2 max training. VO2 max is one of the best predictors of biological age and, longevity at
What's
this
your
point.
VO2 max score?
It's about 46 right
46,
now.
yeah. Because I did one recently and my husband wanted to compare ours and I was like, you can't compare ours. Like he's so fit. I think mine was around 33. So I was in good.
Yeah.
And he was like beyond superior. I was like,
He does work out a lot.
He does work out a lot, but he just really wanted to compare it with me. I was like, you can't compare it with me.
And so what does that routine look like then in terms of what's optimal?
So the way I structure it is cardiovascular training. So that equals zone 2. So I would start with about 150 minutes per week. I get about 300 minutes per week. Zone 2 is where you're walking fast enough that you can hold a conversation, but it's difficult. So just up the speed on your walks. And also walks are great for reducing stress, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But zone 2 training, then one VO2 max training at least per week. So that can be a Norwegian 4x4. So 4 minutes of 90% heart rate. So kind of 4 minutes all out, followed by 4 minutes of recovery 4 times. I did though, and I will mention this, that when I interviewed Dr. Stacy Sims, she mentioned that women might do better with 4x6. 4 minutes of the all out, followed by 6 minutes of recovery 4 times.
And does it differ from person to person? Because you're saying, 4 minutes here, but like we're all different, obviously. Yeah. So does it differ from person to person? Or is this generally the average?
I would say it's general. Okay. I think as long as you're hitting that the heart rate is going to vary person to person based on age. So what your max heart rate is going to vary person to person. But I think you need to be getting that all out. That's the purpose. You're pushing your body to really increase your oxygen capacity. So one VO2 max training session per week. So that kind of rounds out the cardiovascular training. Then we have strength, right? I love measuring my muscle mass, my lean muscle mass. Grip strength is a super affordable metric that you can do at home. But
is that just with one of those?
Yeah, the diameters. Yeah, exactly. So I think they're like $30 on Amazon.
And you should be doing that almost daily.
I test mine weekly. So I do all my metrics on a Monday morning. I do look at my wearables on a daily basis. But if you want to start improving your grip strength, you need to track it. So you want to be around 80 pounds. Apologies that I don't know the kg. Oh, so it's about 40, right?
Half, yeah,
it's about
40,
half. Yeah. So about 40 kg for longevity for women for grip strength, right? So, and that is not common to find a woman with that high of grip strength, right?
And what does grip strength do?
So it's a proxy to overall strength. Okay. So how much strength do you have in your body? How much muscle do you have in your body? We certainly don't want to be training grip strength. Let's say you get a low number and you're like, oh, got to improve it. Okay. Please don't use the grip strength testers because you're cheating yourself. We want to actually lay down that muscle and improve bone density. So going back to my programming, I strength train 5 times per week. Not necessary. The research shows that as little as 2 to 3 times per week for 20 to 30 minutes can be beneficial for longevity, but load the weights. Do as much as you can. I really am saddened when I see these tiny weights, like these little 2-pound lady weights. And it's
I know I sometimes do those. My husband's on me.
Because we really need to improve the muscle density and the bone density because our bone density peaks at 30 as women. And if we don't fight against that, we're going to be being diagnosed with osteoporosis at some time in the future, right? Where sarcopenia is muscle loss, muscle wasting. We can't be frail, So that's also part of the programming. For bone density, love doing heavy compound lifts. Anything that loads the bones is going to be beneficial for bone density. You also want to make sure that your vitamin D is optimized and you have minerals. So I add minerals in my water, but I also love jumping. So anything that's adding, friction or loading to the bones.
Is jumping like on a trampoline or?
It's best to do it on the ground. Okay. So the more kind of impact you can make without being hurt.
Okay. So just in the spot, you just like jump up
I do
and
jump
down.
roping. So I do a lot of jump roping or box jumps, but that's for bone density. And then also the compound lifts, really good for bone density, also good for muscle mass. But then we want to also think about mobility. So staying mobile, small joints, doing small exercises, stretching. We become a lot less flexible as we age, and also balance. So balance becomes a lot worse as we age. So all of those are in combination to the workouts that I do, standard workouts.
And would you say in terms of age, women in their 30s versus women in their 40s, should they be doing that kind of exercise as well? Is it all the same? Or say you're somebody who's going through perimenopause or menopause, should your exercise routine change?
Yeah, the research actually seems to support that you need to go harder, actually. Increase protein a bit and potentially be strength training even more intensely, because as we age, our muscles become less adaptive, right? So we need to increase the protein, and we also need to increase the weights, especially if you haven't yet. Let's say you're 40 or 50 years old at this point and you're first listening to this podcast, you haven't prioritized strength training. I would definitely want to look at bone density. So maybe do a DEXA scan, look at muscle mass, and then see how much, you need to really work to improve those numbers, because we can reverse some of this, which is exciting.
Can we reverse everything, all the damage that we have done?
Most of it, yeah.
So you could start at any age and pretty much reverse the last 30 or so years?
No, you can start at any age and make big improvements, right? Obviously, the younger, the better. So I think if you're in your 20s, start adding on that muscle now, right? But if you're in your 80s, it's still not too late. I mean, there's research studies showing that you can, have biological age reversal, that you can start, adding on muscle. You can improve bone density to an extent. So it's never too late.
And I've got another headline here now that you've just spoken about biological age.
Okay.
So it says you're 33, but I think you're 34 now.
I am 34. I'll actually be 35, 35 on November 2nd.
Oh,
around birthday.
Very soon.
I'll be in Australia then. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Fun.
Thank you.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
So it says here, and I'm just going to change it, a almost 35-year-old longevity clinic owner says her biological age is 22. Here are her 2 favorite biohacks.
So I look at a lot of different metrics of biological age. It's not really just one anymore. So I have a scale that tells me my metabolic age. So it says it's 25. So it's about 10 years younger. And we can do phenotypic aging, which is based on a set of blood biomarkers. So that's also a pretty low cost way to get an estimate. There's also methylation. So that's like the true diagnostics or the pace of aging test. That's another way to measure it. You can also do it through things like grip strength, gait speed, and VO2 max. That can kind of give an estimate of biological age. But it's interesting because we're getting to this place where it's kind of organ specific as well. So instead of just one general number of biological age, and I've had some great tests in the past, which has been amazing, but we're now dialing down and drilling down. Like, I'm going to be one of the first women, I was just telling Jonas on the way here, I'm going to be doing one of the first ovarian aging clocks. So that's brand new. So I don't know what my ovarian
And what does that
age is.
involve?
I mean, it's based off blood biomarkers again, but it's a very specific AI algorithm that's been tested on a data set of, I think, about 3,000 or 4,000 different women. And so I'm excited to see what ovarian age is, right? But every system can be aging differently. Let's say you were exposed to really high sounds, throughout your life or something, or you worked in a factory. Your hearing age can be very different than, your heart health age. My cardiovascular age on Aura is about, right now I got it up to negative 11 and a half years. It dropped down a bit when I moved from LA to Austin because I didn't have all my equipment, but right now it's about negative 9 years. So, but I love that these numbers are fluid, right? So I know that if I stop traveling a little bit and get back into my routine 100%, I can get my heart health, cardiovascular age back down to negative 14, which is exciting.
That's exciting about ovarian age though, because that would have an impact on fertility, right?
Absolutely. Fertility. And I mean, when women enter menopause, the risk of all-cause mortality increases. Everything, cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's or neurodegenerative diseases, everything. So if we can push out ovarian longevity, this is one of the things I'm most excited about in the space is, can we do that through any pharmaceutical invention? interventions, possibly. There's an interesting study. It's not yet finished and it's not yet peer reviewed, but it's called the VIBRANCE study. And it's showing how rapamycin can potentially extend the ovarian age by about 5 years to push out menopause. So I am also trialing that. But what I'm excited about with this ovarian age test, so my mom actually went into menopause about 5 years early. That's the best predictor
at
that
what
we
age?
have. At about 47.
47.
That's about 5 years early, or so, 3 to 5 years. So that's the best predictor that we have right now is when did your mom go into menopause? It's like, that's not fair because my mom and I have very different lifestyles. Nothing against it, but I mean, I'm like, I've been doing this stuff for like 12 years. I better have a better outcome, you know?
Yeah.
So,
well, one question I was talking to Christy before, how would you feel? Because you've said you want to live to 150.
Yes.
How would you feel if, God forbid, you passed away at 70 or 80? Knowing that you've done everything that you can possibly do to live to 150?
I would feel fine because I'm a Christian and I think that God has a plan for all of our lives. I believe he already knows when the day that it will be here. And so for me, I know that I would be going to a much better place than we even have here. And I can coach everybody up in heaven on, I don't know. I don't know if we are going to need to like improve health at all, but we'll probably just be perfect. But I don't know what I'll do up there, but I would still be okay with it. I mean, obviously I'm doing everything that I can to be a good steward of my body while here and hopefully, positively influence as many others to do that as well. But I'm not scared of death.
And I think also science, right? You know, how we're evolving as humanity. So I think the work that you're doing is amazing.
Yeah.
What about mindset? Because I'm thinking about our audience and they'll be listening right now. There'll be people that are like, whoa, like this is so new to me. How do I even get started? From a mindset perspective, what are you doing for your mindset? You obviously have a lot of resilience. You're dedicated to your work.
Yeah.
Do you work with a coach? Like, is that something that you also incorporate into your daily routine?
Yeah, I mean, mindset is everything. I think early on, I would recommend people to do purpose. So like, what is your purpose? I decided this a long time ago and your purpose changes, right? But if you don't have a strong purpose, you're never going to wake up and go do a hard workout. We're not wired to do the hard things. We're wired to take the path of least resistance. And we see that where that's gotten us. I don't know the stats for Australia. I probably should look, but I mean, in America, about 70% of people are obese. 40% of people have 2 chronic conditions. These are American adults, Americans. And, 60% have at least 1 chronic condition. So we see where that has gotten us, but that is our default. So you have to sit down and really write out your purpose. Is it because you want to live longer for your children? I don't have children yet. Can't wait. As soon as I do, I know that my purpose will change. But my original purpose was, I need to upgrade my body and my biology so I can build the dream life that I now have, So number 1, figure out your purpose. Super important. Number 2, surround yourself with people that are like-minded, right? Like if you want to be fit, hang out with fit people. If you want to be a drunk, hang out with drunk people. If you want to be, successful, hang out with successful people. So I think who you have around you that's going to influence you, like you and your husband, right? Like your husband has to influence you to want to work out more, right?
And my whole life has changed since I love my parents. They're healthy to a degree, but if you want in on the secret to firmer, smoother skin.
Oh, yes, please.
Well, then you're going to want to hear about Olay's new ultra firming serum right here.
It's their lightest, most powerful serum yet, and it literally feels like water when you apply it. But most importantly, it's packed with serious actives for firmer and smoother skin from day one.
It's formulated with PHCA, a revolutionary antioxidant that works 3.5 times better than vitamin C and bakuchi oil, which is a retinol-like alternative that is clinically proven to be as effective as retinol.
It's also great for sensitive skin, and I love that it's not just one benefit. You're going to get 5. Fewer lines, firmer skin, smoother texture, smaller pores, and real hydration.
You should start to see results from day 1. Your pores may look smaller. By day 14, wrinkles should start to soften. And by day 28, you hope to see a visible lift.
You can grab it now at Chemist Warehouse. Give it a go and let your skin do the talking.
When I start talking about some of this stuff, they just kind of roll their eyes. And I'm like, okay, they're probably not the right person to speak to, but like your family, you kind of want them to make those changes for their health. And my parents drink a lot. And I still have a drink now and then when I go out. I actually like a drink. every so often, not that often, not all the time, but my parents drink every night. So I'm always on their backs, and my mom's just like, oh, stop hassling me about it. But it's like, I want you to change because I want you to be here for like longer. And
because we love them.
Yeah, we love them. And I think that's where you're coming from a lot of the time, because you want to see everyone live a long, healthy life.
And be like filled with vibrant energy. Like my heart breaks for so many women that are just struggling with so many different conditions and don't even know what it feels like to like wake up with abundant energy being 15 hours on different time zone, you know? I mean, it's like we really do have a lot of influence, but we have to understand what is the path. And it's so convoluted on the internet of like what diet and what to do and I'm like, okay, we're operating off data here. We actually know what to do. We just have to implement that. But I also think changing your mindset to identify with being a healthy person, right? So if you say that you're lazy, you're going to then adopt lazy behaviors. You're going to let yourself be okay with being lazy because you've already decided that you are. But if you say that you're, an avid gym goer, well, then you have to be an avid gym goer. You know what I mean? If you say that you're a longevity lady, I mean, you got to be a longevity lady, you know? So I think really changing how you think about yourself. And I would say the last piece of that is you have to know that you're worth it, right? I think if you don't believe that you're worth great health, or you don't believe that you're worth showing up and going to the gym to work on your physique or your health, over the next 5-10 rest of your life, you're just not going to do it. So
I love that. Can I just ask one personal question that kind of came up when you were talking about your ovaries and you're going to do a test for that? Is that going to determine when you start trying for kids, or also with your biological age, knowing that you're 22, would you go, okay, well, I'm going to wait another 10 years now?
Yeah, no, okay. I think these clocks are very new, so we're not going to operate. And to be honest, there's also, some variance. Like you can send off 2 tests, the numbers can be slightly different. So I've pulled like kind of the very expensive biological age testing out of the, recommendations, because I think there are more actionable tests for people to take. Phenotypic age is great though, right? So just take some biomarkers you already have, plug them in there. So no, truthfully, I only got married 2 years ago. So we wanted a little bit of time to spend with each other. We also got married super fast. So we were engaged and married within 4 months.
Wow.
So
I love that.
Met, engaged and married within 4 months.
I've got friends who pretty much, I think they got engaged within 4 months and they've been happily married with, I think, 4 or 5 kids now.
That's what I'm aiming for now.
Yeah. I mean, my husband and I's story, if it wasn't enough that I do like hours of biohacking, but we also didn't have sex before we got married. So that's also a bit unique. Not saying everyone needs to, but that was our story. I'm at a really interesting inflection point because actually I would have loved to have started trying a few months ago, but I'm also being offered so many incredible opportunities, right? And last month, I was out of the country on my ovulation, and this has just been happening back and forth. I will say though, I did freeze eggs. So a couple of years ago, we froze eggs and created a few embryos as well, because we do want to have a large family and we are starting later. So I'm excited that I have that, but I don't want to use that. Essentially, I want to try to start getting pregnant as soon as possible.
And how will your routine change? Because you spend so long dedicating this time to yourself, and then when you do have kids, we're like sometimes it's so hard to fit in anything, and it's like you really want to. We want to do the saunas, we want to do the ice baths, we want to do all this, and sometimes it's just like, and most people are just so busy that they can't. So how do you think you'll find time to do this?
I mean, it's hard to say until I get there. I think for me, obviously, I'll just be honest. I mean, I definitely am going to have a little bit of help. Yeah. So some hours in the morning where I have
love help. We love
either
help,
my mom, I've thought about moving my mom like close to me, or, having someone to help out in the morning, because I mean, if you have the luxury to do that, it's going to be a game changer for the rest of my day. So especially, my sister-in-law, she actually was giving me some tips because she's recently had a baby. And she says, when the baby's napping, she always has someone that's just kind of around. Like if they're fussing a little bit, then they can help out. But she still gets to spend a lot of that high quality time, with her child. So as soon as I can, I want to incorporate the kids, I mean, I love when people are like, have a home gym and their little kids are like working out with them. I think if you can instill those values really early, I mean, I never learned any of that stuff,
That's my daughter, like with my husband, when I'm not there before bed, he's like taking her down to the gym and she's working out. She's 4. So.
It's so cute. And being able to teach them about like the beauty of food, right? Like go to a farm, see how it's actually made. I'm looking forward to being able to do things like that. But I'll also document this all, and I'm going to be honest with everyone how it's going. And I'll tell you what I end up finding as we move along this process.
You can just adjust, I guess. But it's got to be flexible. So with your current routine, morning routine, I've heard you say you're doing about 3 or 4 hours in a day of your longevity.
Yeah,
what does that look like in a shorter nutshell? What are some of the things that you're doing?
Yeah, I'll try to keep it snappy.
Not 3 hours, please.
I start, not 3 hours. I start with oral care routine. So our oral health is really important. We know that our oral microbiome is influential in our cardiovascular system, our brain health. So I do coconut oil pulling, of course, tongue scraping.
Sorry, what was that coconut oil?
Pulling, like
what's that
you kind of put it in the mouth and swish around.
Oh, okay.
What does that do?
Well, it's good for reducing bacteria, but it's also good for your breath. It can be whitening. So I do that with either coconut oil or with an ozone oil.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I know. I need to do that.
Have you guys haven't heard about that?
No.
Oh, it's actually an Ayurvedic practice, but so I do that in the morning. Do my tongue scraping. I do my, of course, flossing. I do my, I have a red light therapy device that goes inside your mouth. So it's good for reducing inflammation of the gums, which I don't have any, but if you do have gum inflammation, that's helpful. So do my oral care routine. Then I take a quick brief look at, how I slept, look at some of my wearables, things of that nature. If it's a Monday, I'm doing my bioimpedance scale, my grip strength, my lung health. And then I go right to my desk that is set up for kind of optimization. So I have a video on this, but it's like a red light panel with a pulse PEMF device with a Nanovi all stacked right there. And that's when I actually read my Bible, do my prayer, get into that parasympathetic state in the morning while doing all 3 of those devices at the same time. So do that. As soon as the sun comes up, I go on a long walk in nature. We live in a really...
What time do you normally get up?
I get up about 5, but the sun doesn't come out until about 7 in Austin. So
really? In the Gold Coast, it's 4:30.
It's great. I love it because
too.
It's really nice that it peaks up so early. Yeah. So immediately I've been going outside in the morning. But at home, it rises about 7. So I go on a really long walk with my husband. It's in nature. And then I come home. I do my workout. And in there also, I have a protein coffee. So before the walk, I'll have a protein coffee with collagen, creatine, and colostrum. And a little bit of coffee.
Is that before you eat?
Yeah, before a full meal. So I have the protein coffee prior to my workout, and then I'll have my full breakfast after my workout. So do my walk. When I get back, I start my workout. I do my sauna right after. And then I also have red light therapy panel in the sauna. I think you guys have this. Yeah. So
I have the Heavenly Heat sauna and I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
It is... I'm in it 5 times, maybe 7 times sometimes.
I love that.
Just optimal for detoxification. I love it for my skin health.
Even this morning, she said, I'm going to go in the sauna because she heard a talk at the Wellspring. And she was like, I'm going to go in the sauna in the morning now.
So I'm like really inspired now to get up because I have children. So trying to fit all of this in, right, is now I get up at 5 a.m. I put the sauna on. I'm in the sauna at 5:30. I've got a pool, which is cold at the moment. So I jump straight into that. That's my little ice bath hack at the moment. But I love my Heavenly Heat sauna. I think that the reason I love it though is because it's low EMF.
Yeah.
Not made with any toxic glues or anything like that, because that does have a toxic burden on you, right? If you are breathing in all the toxins from the glues and things like that. So
absolutely. Yeah. Well, full disclosure, my husband and I own Heavenly Heat saunas. So we launched in Australia and we were so excited to partner with you guys on that. But the company was started over 37 years ago. It was made for people with chemical sensitivities. Like that was the entire thing. So you can't have these VOCs or plywood or wood glues or varnishes in the sauna. And I just started, as I do, intense research on everything. I had a clear light sauna in the past and I just felt it was off, saw some plastics in there. Found Heavenly Heat, and we loved it so much that we now are the majority owners and we run the company. Mostly my husband runs the company. I just do a thing from time to time. But they're the cleanest saunas on the market, bar none, lowest VOCs, lowest EMF. And I'm so glad that we got one to you.
Well, that's why I actually did my research too, because I was in the market for a sauna and I was actually looking for saunas with the low EMF and the no glues. Yeah. And when I came across Heavenly Heat, I was like, oh my gosh. And that's when we started to collaborate, and we were like, we have to collab on this because it's amazing. And now I've got one. So I feel very lucky. And so does one of the lucky winners in Australia. So
I think we'll talk a little bit more about saunas. We've got like a lot of questions on saunas, so we'll come back to that. But I think you're probably only up to half of your morning routine.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely
up to saunas.
Yeah, so up to sauna. So I'm currently doing sauna, by the way, right after exercise. So there's two really key times I think to do sauna, either after exercise for extending those exercise benefits, or for sleep, which would be later in the night, so about 2 hours prior to bed. So do my sauna. If I'm in my follicular phase, I do a cold plunge. So we have a cold plunge right there. Then I go in, I take a shower, I do my breakfast, I have my supplements, and then I will start my work day actually. So I have everything out of the way. I do my work in like 90-minute blocks. So head back to my desk. I have that Nanovi device and the PEMF at the desk, so I can actually do it all throughout the day.
What is that?
Nanovi is a device that actually creates a frequency in easy water. So it looks like a little kind of I suppose box, and then it has a nasal cannula. So inside of it's creating easy water, which is exclusion zone water. You breathe that in and then it carries like a frequency through it. Their clinical studies support benefits for VO2 max, improved protein folding, and reduced oxidative stress. So I'll just breathe that in throughout the day. And then I break up my day with walks. So after a 90-minute work block, I will either do the treadmill in my office. So I'm aiming for between 10 and 15,000 steps per day, or I'll do my calls outside. Around 1 p.m., I'll usually do an HPOT session. So hyperbaric oxygen therapy. I have a hard shell chamber at home. I do a loading dose in the beginning of the year, which is the brain protocol at 1.5 ATA for 40 sessions, 5 times per week, 1 hour per day. And then I do a body protocol at the end of the year, which is 2.0 ATA at that same 40 sessions, 5 times per week, 1 hour per day. And then I just do maintenance throughout the rest of the year.
And so what's the benefit of the HBOT?
Yeah, so many. I originally learned about it from Dr. Daniel Amen for brain health. So anyone with TBIs, concussions, he would use it with NFL players all the time, but also just improving blood flow. So there's interesting information on men actually with erectile dysfunction, helping to revascularize the penis. So anything that is blood flow related, we always want better blood flow, right? Same thing for women, and even our, private areas requires blood flow. So brain health is a big one. There's some interesting data on skin health. There's some interesting new research being undergone for things like AMH or anti-Müllerian hormone, potentially being able to increase that number with HBOT therapy. Wound healing is a big one as well, but I'm also doing it for longevity. So there's some interesting research out of Israel showing that HBOT therapy can actually lengthen the telomeres, which are the end caps of the DNA. We know that they shrink as we age. So variety of different benefits depending on what your indication is, but I'm primarily just doing it for improved energy, brain health, of course, because we know, again, women are more predisposed to neurodegenerative diseases, but there's a bunch of different things you can use it for. So I do that. Then I do my balancer. I'll try to wrap this up really quick. So then I do my balancer therapy, this is like kind of the Rolls Royce of lymphatic drainage, but you can also just do rebounding, which is, much cheaper. You can do dry brushing in the sauna. There's so many ways to do your lymph, but our lymph doesn't really move on its own. Like we have to actually encourage it. It's not like the heart's just not beating all the time. So either by jumping, exercising, moving, manual stimulation with a brush or something is really important, because it's also estimated that women leave the house with about double the amount of toxins than men do due to personal care products, hairsprays.
When I was putting on, I was saying just before when I was coming here and I woke up and I was putting on my makeup and I was putting on my creams. I was like, I think Kayla's going to like this. I've got my perfume. I've got to probably not do as much.
No, it looks beautiful. It's easy enough to start just swapping out, So we have a resource in the US. I'm sure you guys have access to it, the Environmental Working Group. Okay. And so it's a website where you can go on, just type in the brand, and then it'll give you data on that brand. It'll also start to teach you what to look for in different personal care products. Oh, and by the way, one brand that's an Australian-based brand that I really like is Nude by Nature.
Yes.
So they're like originally from here. So they're a clean brand.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. Now I have a few questions. I'm like, do you have cheat days?
No.
Or the typical cheat days? No, none. So there's nothing that because like a lot of people when they gone, I know this is probably, and I think you've said this, your worst nightmare, going to sit and watch Netflix and have some chocolate.
Yeah.
But what else? I know you love all this, but is there anything that you're like, oh, it's almost like a sin to do, or something where it's not your regular routine? So I'm kind of like, what do you love doing outside of this?
Well, I really do love doing this, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Okay. So I have zero desire to have a cheat meal because I literally think of it as poison. So like put a Twix bar in front of me, I would literally never even think about eating it because it'd be like eating a non-food like substance. It'd be like, why would you do that to yourself? It's like a form of self-harm. I also have trained my taste buds. So for me, my diet's not restrictive. I have foods that I love. I have, wild blueberries that taste amazing. I'll have, 85% dark chocolate, which I think I've trained my taste buds to really enjoy these things, right? I have fruit, I have different things. So I don't feel restricted in any way, very satiated. In fact, I will say that the only thing that I used to not do that I do now do is I watch television with my husband. So he was in the film industry or entertainment industry more so. He loves the beauty of like entertainment, whether it be shows or, movies.
So you didn't watch any TV?
None. So I had a television that was gifted to me that I had never plugged in my place when I met my husband. So I had really not owned a television. So I was always doing something, and so for me, watching television is not doing something. For him, it more so is because it was his like kind of business. So he was, I suppose, learning.
And how often do you watch TV now?
Yeah, so we'll wind down every evening with, anywhere from 30 minutes or so. Sometimes we'll swap that out for a book or something else. But yeah, we'll watch a little bit of something most nights of the week.
Yeah. So, and also, do you ever get sick?
Rarely, very super rare. I mean, I can't even think of a time. I definitely never get sick of like it's taken me out. Maybe a little bit of a sniffle from time to time because I've been in like London, New York City, Austin twice, and now Australia in the last like week and a half. So I think my, sniffles will pop up a little bit.
And does that stress you out traveling so much?
Yeah. I mean, it shows also in my data for sure. So, but it's also, there's different components of longevity and social connection is one of them. So doing things like this is also really beneficial for like my joy and longevity and meeting new friends and, challenging myself too in different ways. So it's not something that is ideal for the protocol, but I also had many years where I didn't do anything. Like I did not leave to make sure that I had the kind of inputs the exact same.
Like you didn't leave your house and your surroundings, really?
Yeah, like I wasn't traveling at all. I wasn't doing anything because I'm like, let's spend a few years doing this to see what the results can actually
be. And how has the results changed?
Yeah, they've fluctuated a bit. I mean, I do think I'm quite resilient, but let's say, so my gut health is certainly not as good as it used to be, but that was more so because, I had to do a round of antibiotics, which now I'm actually excited because now I get to rebuild the gut and I can share that entire journey with everybody that follows me. It's like, here was gut test perfect. Here was gut test compromised. Here's what we did. And now here's new gut test results. So, but I mean, obviously sleep can't be 100%. Like I can easily get 100% on Whoop and get, 96. You can't get 100 on Aura, but I can easily get every single night 96 if I'm at home in my environment. But I also can keep my stress levels very low. But travel in and of itself is stressful on the body. But
I think that's most people because everyone is living life. But I think what's really important is that you can get back to that.
Absolutely.
So I think for you now, because you were sort of probably hibernating in a little bubble before, but it shows you can go out, you can do all these things, but you can come back to that and be in good health.
You're just having the right mindset and discipline.
Yeah.
And you're back.
And you just maintain. I mean, I had 100% sleep score. I mean, the first night I was here, I slept 8.5 hours of like straight sleep on the plane. I mean, if you have the right wind down routines and the right like assets with you and you maintain consistency, I think it's super helpful. And I go way out of my way, right? Like I showed up with my own water. Like we went to a grocery store, Flannery's Organics. Like, so as soon as we landed, that was the first thing that we did. I haven't eaten any food at the event unless they confirmed that it was organic and sourced basically for me because it was kind of on my notes of things that I need. Yeah. But we went to Flannery's, stocked up on foods. So it takes a little bit more time, but it's definitely doable.
Yeah. I want to go back to saunas.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's something that I'm absolutely loving at the moment. But what are some of the benefits of saunas for longevity?
So many. It's actually probably one of the most science-backed therapies. So with use of sauna 4 times per week, it can reduce the risk of dementia by up to 66%. It can reduce the risk of all-cause mortality by about 40 to 50%. It can reduce the risk of cardiovascular events by about 50%. So these are massive numbers. Like, there's not much outside of like exercise and good lifestyle that can actually yield results like that potentially. So sauna is amazing.
And why is that? Like, what is it doing in order to reduce?
It does a few things. So it's mimicking exercise. So it's actually increasing your heart rate, right? So kind of like doing a little bit of a workout in sauna. It also is amazing for detoxification. So you're excreting a lot of those toxins that we're exposed to that are also linked to neurodegenerative disease and different cardiovascular issues. So it also does that. And lastly, it releases, or you release heat shock proteins. So we can think of the heat shock proteins as going in to like clean up all the messes in the cells. So it's doing a lot while you're in there. But yeah, I can't think of another therapy that actually yields that level of results.
Can you substitute exercise with saunas?
I would not recommend that. We need both because we also need to be, you're not actually building any muscle while you're in the sauna, right? So it is giving some cardiovascular mimicking benefits, but ideally in an optimal longevity protocol, you're certainly doing exercise and sauna.
Is there any difference for men and women with heat therapy?
Yeah. I mean, so we know that when women are menstruating in their luteal phase, or basal body temperature actually increases. So there could be some, slight differences there. Let's say if you enter the sauna at a higher baseline body temperature, you could get more fatigued. You could not want to go as high or as long. So that could be a slight difference. Also, some women, during PMS or menstruation don't feel the best to do sauna. That could be another variation. But I actually think of it as all the benefits, right? So even the metabolic health benefits. We are in a metabolic crisis. In the US, only about 6% of people are metabolically healthy. And the sauna, especially when you combine it with the red light therapy panel in that sauna, is great for metabolic health. So I really think of that as a pro for women. I think about it as a pro for women, the brain health benefits, right? Because again, 2/3 of women with the neurodegenerative diseases. So I think a lot of it is pros, but there can be some nuance in terms of men and women.
And do you have a specific routine you abide by when it comes to the saunas, like what you do, your ritual before and after?
Yeah. Well, first let's talk about like how long to go in, how often to do it. So all the literature is primarily done on Finnish saunas, which is the traditional sauna, right? So the temperature is between 176 and 212. They're going into the sauna minimum 4 times per week. Benefits increase with more sessions in the sauna. So I do 7 times per week. And then they're doing it between 17 and 22 minutes at that 176 to 212. So because
Can you go beyond that? And would that matter? Because sometimes I sit in a sauna for like 40 minutes.
I mean, I love that. Okay. Yeah, no, they're showing the more the better.
Okay.
As long as you're not, becoming too dehydrated or something of that nature. So I do the infrared sauna because infrared sauna is slightly lower heat. I do it for slightly longer time. So I do it anywhere between minimum 4 sessions per week, but most of the time 7 because I love it so much. And then I do it between 25 and 30 minutes per session. Before I hydrate really well with like filtered, structured water, adding in electrolytes and minerals. So really important to stay hydrated during the sauna. So bring that in. For me, obviously, I'm working out right before the sauna, so I get those extended exercise benefits. Love to do dry brushing inside the sauna. So the lymphatic drainage. Love to also, read a book, do something relaxing. And I really enjoy the red light therapy that combines with it afterwards. Super important to obviously get a good shower, really kind of scrub off because you want to remove all those toxins that you just sweated out. And the other thing I will say, I think it's important to not use these plastic towels, right? Or wear plastic clothing inside the sauna. We don't want to be sitting in the sauna with, Lululemon on with all these microplastics that are just like seeping into the body. So I either wear 100% cotton or natural fibers, or just go in with no clothing, and just a towel, and always doing like an organic towel. Actually, I told my husband that we should start selling organic towels.
Because I was just thinking as you were talking, I was like, how do I know? I've got so many towels at home, and I'm like, they're probably all there's plastic, plastic all through them. Is that, how do you know if your towel has a lot of plastics?
Yeah, I would aim to get natural fiber.
Okay, so you have to get natural fibers.
Yeah, get like natural cotton towels. I think this whole microplastic free towel thing will become much bigger in the future. But yeah, you want to get a natural organic.
Didn't even know towels had plastics in them. That's
everything.
Crazy.
Everything.
Clothing all the time has.
One thing that I was wondering, because I read this somewhere, was that when you're in the sauna, you need to use a towel to keep wiping off the sweat. Is that right? Otherwise it seeps back in.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I do that naturally. I don't know what the data is on that, but naturally I definitely wipe off.
Yeah. Is there a certain percentage of when you say the toxins are coming out?
Yeah.
How much is actually coming out? Like, is there a percentage?
Yeah. I mean, it's all going to be bio-individual, right? Number one, how much toxins do you have? How well is your body detoxing? So it's very unique to you. But I think, in general, I do this test called the total toxic burden 4 times per year. I've been doing it for like 6 years. And when I do consistent sauna use, I see the lowest levels of toxins in my body across the board. That means mycotoxins, any environmental toxins, heavy metals, etc. When I do consistent sauna use, it's always the best.
I wonder if you did a test before going into the sauna and then sat in the sauna, or even, I guess, and then you came out and you did another test, whether or not you'd actually see a reduction in toxins.
It'd probably be a better experiment instead of just one sauna session use to test the sweat, which is on my list of things to do.
What is that?
Testing the actual sweat.
The actual sweat that comes out.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So testing that and then sending that off to the lab and having that kind of like a total tox burden.
Yeah. I'd be interested in knowing that. Yeah. Especially with, can the sweat from sweating from sauna, is it reducing mold? Like, is it all different types of toxins or like, do you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be all different types of toxins. It might not be, let's say you had a high mold exposure, which is devastating to some people. Sauna alone might not be the only thing that you would do. Of course, you would want to incorporate it, but you might have to consider something like binders or even something more aggressive. If you have CIRS, chronic inflammatory response syndrome, you might have to introduce cholestyramine or something, which is a RX, pharmaceutical, but really helps to rid the body of mold. So it's not necessarily a panacea for every single type of environmental toxin or mold that you encounter. But I think as a baseline ongoing detoxification, I think we need to be obviously, when we pee, we detox. When we poop, we detox. And I think we need to be doing sauna on a consistent basis as well.
And what about cold therapy or ice bars? Do you normally do that before or after the sauna, or when's the best time to do cold therapy?
Well, there's a few different ways to think about it. So when we don't want to do cold therapy is right after training typically. So that can potentially reduce the gains or the hypertrophy because it's reducing the inflammation. So I like to do it either before training, or if I'm doing more of a cardio day, do it after training, because there's some research that can show that supports it might help DOMS or delayed muscle onset soreness. So either if you're doing HIIT or cardiovascular training, you can kind of do it whenever. If you're doing strength training, you want to either do it beforehand to actually increase your endurance, or you can wait about 4 or 5 hours after and then do it. Okay. But also as a woman, I amend it slightly. So I don't do a lot of cold plunging anymore in my luteal phase and during ovulation, because I just don't want to add another hormetic stressor. I think, again, it's all bio-individual. If you have a very low stress life, you'll probably do it. If you feel good, you could also do it. But it's just thinking about how many hormetic stressors and other stressors are we encountering at any given time. So for me, I only do it in the follicular phase now when estrogen is the highest. I'm recovering the best.
And how often?
And I also do it, I do it probably 3 or 4 times a week, typically after sauna use. And the last piece about cold plunge as a woman is also I don't do it nearly as cold as I used to and nearly as cold as my husband could do it. So, he might be able to do it at like 35-degree Fahrenheit or 40-degree Fahrenheit, but I'm keeping mine much warmer, more so like 46 or so degrees. So it's not as shocking to the body when I get in.
So we are running out of time, and we've only just touched the surface of all the questions we wanted to ask you today, but we kind of want to wrap up with a little bit about nutrition and maybe what your top tips are for somebody who's getting started in this space or wanting to optimize their longevity. What are your favorite foods?
Yeah. I love organic plants. I love wild-caught salmon. So there is a lab test called the Omega Index. So let's talk about nutrition basics, and then I'm going to talk about how to customize it for yourself, okay? So basics of nutrition for me is the Mediterranean diet. So this is the most science-backed diet for longevity. Incorporates a little bit of everything except processed foods and ultra-processed foods. So we have like nuts and seeds, we have avocados, we have fermented foods, we have wild-caught salmons, grass-fed, grass-finished beef in moderation, lots of, just highly nutritious foods. Every bite of food that I take, I'm wondering, is this benefiting my biology or is it not? I don't eat the foods that don't, so I'm always trying to get the highest nutrient quality every single meal. Also, protein optimization is important for everybody, specifically women. So I'm aiming for about 100 grams of protein per day. And the last piece of nutrition, it's not as exciting to talk about is energy expenditure. So if you want to be in a fit body weight, a healthy body weight, we do need to make sure we're not consuming in excess calories. So say that's the basis. And then I do lab testing called micronutrient testing. And that actually looks at my levels of vitamins. So how much vitamin C do I actually have? What about all the B vitamins? How are my minerals? How are my amino acids? Instead of guessing, I do that test. I do it 4 times a year, but you can do it once a year. Or you can use a free app called Chronometer, and it'll give you an estimate of your micronutrients. So we have macronutrients, which is that protein, fat, carbohydrates. And then we have micronutrients like the aminos and the minerals and the vitamins. So we need to be thinking about both for an optimal diet.
And you strict with your routine? Do you eat the same thing every single day?
No, actually, I really strive to mix it up because the diversity is great for the gut. So I'm aiming to get 50 different plant species in per week. So, but the basis of the meals are generally the same. So it's lots of heavy plants, some sort of fermented food, and some sort of high quality protein essentially at every meal.
And you said you have breakfast. Do you fast at all?
Yeah, I do time restricted eating. So I'm done eating at 4:00 when I'm at home on a regular day. And then I don't break that fast until I have that protein coffee at somewhere around, probably 6:30 in the morning.
Does anyone ever invite you to dinner?
No, I invite other people to dinner because, I love hosting. I host these female longevity dinners. It's amazing. Have like a chef come in and do all organic food. It's up like 4:00 p.m. We're wrapped up by 6. Everybody's in bed by 8. It's amazing. So,
and do you eat out ever? Like, do you go to restaurants or cafes, or do you always try and eat at home so you can have control?
Yeah, 99.9% of our meals are at home. I cook everything myself, but we do from time to time. Like, there was one place in LA when we lived there, so we would go to this. It's a grocery store actually called Erewhon. But they have a cafe, so we would eat there. That's where our first dates were at, actually, in LA. And then in Austin, there are 2 restaurants that are also Kayla approved.
What are they?
And so there's one called The Well. So it's organic. They have amazing bone broth. Yeah. So there's that. And there's another restaurant called Die Dewey that is all locally sourced, grass-fed, grass-finished everything. So but it's still super rare. We've been to a restaurant, I think, 2 times since living there. And one of the times was because we hadn't had our kitchen set up yet. The other time, my husband emailed me for our anniversary and said that he'd made a reservation at a longevity-friendly time of 2:45 p.m. And so we went to
Do you ever feel like you're missing out on those things?
No.
Like do people have birthdays and you can't go to them? Or do you go to that birthday, but you just don't eat and you eat before?
Yeah, I usually just eat before or bring food with me or whatever it may look like. So, I truly don't. To me, what could be better than feeling absolutely amazing, having biomarkers to support that, and just jumping with energy, to me, having, a bunch of drinks that destroy my sleep or something, it has zero appeal.
And I'm a bit like that now where I'm like, I'm gonna, even if I have 1 or 2 drinks, that affects me. So I'm like, I just don't drink.
Yeah.
You're not going to like it, but I'm a bit of a binge drinker when I go out with friends. I'm like, that's when I drink, and I don't drink. It could be for a month or 2. I don't drink at all. And then I'll go out and I'll have a few drinks, but I hate the feeling, and I'm like, it is really horrible. So I had one more question because I wanted just to get your thoughts on this. So you say you want to live to 150. What does that even look like? Because I think, does it mean you're going to be like a typical 100-year-old when you are 150?
Something like that. Yeah. So I think that we're hopefully going to get to a place called the longevity escape velocity. So that's when you can actually reverse the damage faster than you accumulate it. So right now, all that we kind of know that we can do is slow down the aging process, right, through lifestyle, not stop it, not reverse it. But I think with AI, it's really going to revolutionize that. AI is already identifying incredible interventions, and it's identifying potentially new drugs, and it's able to, there was an interesting, I think Huntington's disease, AI had helped to develop treatment for it to be slowed by about 75%, which has never been done before. So I think step 1, we actually need to fully understand how we age. We started with 9 hallmarks of aging, then we went to 12, now we have 14. But I think that's probably about 20% of the equation. We need to know more about why exactly we age, so then we can develop interventions to actually help with that.
Fascinating.
It's so exciting though. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And so when are we going to see this?
I mean, everybody's wanted this, so we will also be realistic here.
In our lifetime?
I think so. I mean, we have this new advent of AI, which is unbelievable. But realistically, I want people to operate too with the best tools that we have now. So I don't want everyone to be like, oh, the longevity escape velocity is coming, so I'll just eat whatever I want and do. No, please. We have to focus on, because right now we know the lifespan is about 120. That's as high as we've gotten. So do everything you can now to be around when the longevity escape velocity occurs.
And if it is overwhelming for people, it's more about just thinking about how you want to live your life.
Yeah.
Do you want to have that energy? Do you want to be able to get up every day and do the things that you want to do?
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing. And when sometimes I'm like, oh, this is too much, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to take little parts of it that I'm going to then adapt into my lifestyle. Totally. Because I do want to feel really good every day, and I want to have that good night's sleep, because I know when I don't have that good night's sleep, how I feel and how it is that knock-on effect. And I think that's where everyone should start. If they do feel really overwhelmed, it's like, take these bits that can really work with your lifestyle and it can make a really big difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all about starting small and just build on that. I mean, keep in mind, I've been doing this stuff for 12 years. No, I did not start. This was not overnight. It built on itself.
Yeah. And I love that. And I think just touching on what you said earlier about purpose, when you have a purpose for life and you want to be here and you want to enjoy it, we have this one life.
Yeah. I want everything that I can out of this life.
Yeah, it's exciting. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We do have one more question.
Okay.
And we ask everyone, what makes you feel confident in your skin?
Having great biomarkers.
Yeah. I love that. That's been the best answer. Yeah.
That is the best answer. Yes. Well, thank you, Kayla.
Thank you
and also, where can we find you?
Oh, yeah. KaylaBarnes.com is my website. I also have protocol.kaylabarnes.com, where you can literally see the exact breakdown of everything I do, results, etc. I post free content on Instagram at Kayla Barnes. And then I also am on YouTube, TikTok, all the platforms. So
everywhere.
Yeah. And I also have a female longevity community that's kind of great. So
amazing.
Post studies in there, really do deep dive breakdowns, courses, etc.
We'll pop everything in the show notes for everyone. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.